Hey, what's up everybody? A lot to cover in this video. If you guys haven't seen the announcement, RLCS 10, or as they're deeming it, RLCSX is officially announced, and there's a lot of things to cover in the format and the details and everything, so that's what this video is going to be all about. And if you guys would like to support, the easiest way to do so is follow any of the links that are listed here. All those can be found in the description down below, and if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you give it a thumbs up, as well as turn on notifications if you hit that sub notification badge so you don't miss out on any of the videos. And let's get straight into it. So if you guys didn't see the announcement, and a link to this post will be down in the description, but RLCSX, as it has been deemed, has officially been announced, and it is going to be a 365-day year-long format that is changing up the RLCS. So first things first, I want you to take the concept of RLCS and RLRS, take them in your brain, throw them out the window. They no longer exist. They're no longer a thing. Everything you thought about the RLRS and RLCS is totally different, and the RLCSX or RLCSX now encompasses a totally different style, and I want you to remember that. This is completely different. Try not to base it off of anything you've known in the past. We are starting from scratch. First things first, there's going to be 3 splits in this, and this graphic that I have showing right now is something that I've made with all the additional information, and I know it's a lot, so I'll leave a link to this image down below. I ended up tweeting it, and I will make sure that tweet is in there so you guys can go and look at it to your heart's content. Or you can hit pause, but there's 3 splits: fall, winter, and spring. In each split will be a unique format and 6 regional events. You can see those here on the side where it has Europe with 3 and NA with 3, and the dates that they start listed below. Alongside that will also be a international major, and majors will include North America, Europe, OCE, and South America. Because we are starting another format and the pre-existing format promised things, so after the end of RLCS 9, it was stated that these teams, the top 10 in RLCS and the top 6 in RLRS, automatically qualify to Season 10. They have to do something with that guarantee. They have to allocate it into something else. And in the first split, that is going to happen. RLCS teams will get an auto bid into the regional event, which is what these are. So these regional events, there's 6 of them, 3 for NA, 3 for EU. Those are $100,000 per event. $100,000. That is equivalent to a dream hack that we had in the previous year. We've already got $200,000 more than what we had in all of 2019. The RLRS teams will get put into a day 3 of the open qualifiers. And to kind of explain how that works is each one of these regional events is going to be a 32 qualifier team. So there's going to be a bunch of teams that come in, and in day 1 and day 2 they're going to try to slowly break down how many of those teams there are until we end up with the top 32. That's the whole point of these regional events. So a bunch of people sign up, we keep going down. I think day 1 is best of 3s, day 2s are best of 5s, and they slowly break it down until we get to day 3, where day 3 they will meet the RLRS teams. They then go into the RLCS teams, and that's where they compete in what is referred to as a Swiss-style format. So as it shows below, it has the regional format, and it says 32 qualified teams, which come from the open qualifiers, will then play in 2 groups of 16 in a Swiss style. So the way that this ends up working out, and the best way to do this, and even though there's a lot of matches, it gives us the best performing teams. So Swiss style, Super TLDR, the 1-0 team is going to play another 1-0 team. If you go 2-0, you play another 2-0 team. If you go 2-1, you play a 2-1 team. And you keep doing that until you hit a certain threshold of wins required. And the first ones to do that out of those 16, so the first 8 to do that, will end up going into the next stage. The stage after that is going to be finding the top 8 of those 16 teams in another Swiss-style format. 1-0 plays 1-0, 2-0 plays 2-0, 2-1 plays 2-1, and they keep doing that until they hit a certain win threshold, and that's who will make it into the final stage, which is the top 8 teams, which will be a single elimination bracket, which is super simple for us all to understand. So, super TLDR on how regionals are going to work. There's 6 of these, 3 for NA and 3 for EU. You're doing open qualifiers until you get to day 3, where they're met with RLRS teams. After that, there will be another day where they'll have their top 32 teams, and the RLCS teams are automatically into that, all 10 of them. From there, 32 teams are going to do a Swiss-style bracket. 32 teams then drops to 16. 16, which will be another Swiss style, will then drop down to 8. And then when they get to the top 8, it'll be a single elimination bracket. All of these matches, to our knowledge, will be online for the regional event due to the pandemic that is currently going on. Signups are open right now, and they will close on July 24th. So you have 3 days prior to the event to make sure you sign up. They're using a tournament by the name of Battlefy because I think Battlefy has a pretty solid point structure system. And that's kind of the biggest importance of this. Now, as it shows underneath in the very bottom left, it says that these are all online. And there's been some people that are questioning this. Obviously, we haven't gotten to the majors yet, but a lot of these events, because they are international, the 3 majors, need to be in a LAN environment. So even though it says all online, I think Psyonix has stated that they have contingency plans based upon if the pandemic ends up going down and still continues, there is ways for them to get around this. But as for the majors, I don't know how they're going to accomplish that because with international teams playing against each other, you need to play on LAN so there's not a ping advantage. As for the regional events, they can do those online. I don't know if they're going to be planned to be LANs in the future because they're happening like every 2 weeks. But for what I assume is going to happen is regional events will be online. Think of those as a regional championship that we saw in the RLCS previously. But I assume the way that it's going to play out, and the only way I can think it's going to play out, is regionals will be online and then majors will be in LAN. So we'll have 3 LANs a year plus a world championship at the end. So we're still getting a lot of international competition with live events, but I can honestly say that these majors are going to be equivalent to like an RLCS World Championship. They're going to be nuts, and we get 3 of them a year, plus a World Championship that means even more. It's going to be bonkers. I am so excited about what's going to be happening. So taking a step back, even though the first event for Europe starts on July 27th, as it shows here, the first broadcast will be on August 1st. 4 days of the qualifiers before we get to the main event. I don't know if we're going to be able to watch the open qualifiers or how that's going to work, if they're going to rely on community people to handle it, or community tournament organizers, or if they're going to allow the players to stream it. I don't know the specifics of any of that information, but we're going to have to find it out together. Now, the whole purpose of doing well in regionals and playing well in these events is for 2 reasons. The first one is to get to the World Championship. Each of these events is going to award points, and these points will be accumulated over the course of the entire year. And based upon who has the most points is going to determine who gets to the World Championship. So there is a lot on the line week in and week out, and I'll kind of give my final thoughts at the very end. Alongside that will also be a major, and this happens once a split as well. So if we're focusing on fall, we've got the fall major. This will be an international event. It's $250,000 on the line, and that includes, like I said, North America, Europe, OCE, and SAM. But what's unique about the majors is not only during all these regional events are going on, there is another thing called the grid. At the very bottom right of the screen where it has the grid, it will be somewhat similar to what we're used to when it comes to RLCS with like a weekly league play. But instead of round robin, it's just a weekly tournament that kind of goes on, and the winners earn grid points. The number 1 team after all these 9 weeks go down will get a automatic bid into the major. Think of them as like a wild card pick. Not only do we have all these regional events going on pretty much every week and every other week, we also have a weekly tournament called the Grid that is $10,000 with 16 teams, 10 from RLCS and 10 from RLRS. So think of it probably like a double elimination 16 team bracket or a single elimination 16 team bracket, and the winner gets points. And if you win a bunch and you prove that you're consistent, you get to go into the major even if you perform poorly in the regional championships. It's basically like a last-ditch effort for teams to make it into the big event, which I think is awesome. I love wildcard storylines. Say G2 is just not performing well online like they haven't been because they're not in their team house, and all of a sudden they start dominating in these weeklies. Yeah, G2 didn't get enough points here, but they get an automatic bye here to come into the major. That's freaking awesome. I absolutely love that last chance kind of mentality, because Psyonix has always had the inclusivity as their kind of mentality. They always want to allow the general public to be able to compete. And even though they need to find a way to reward the consistent teams in the top tiers, like your Vitalities, your NRGs, and G2s, and everything like that, you still need to find a way to make it so there's some competitive integrity involved with it. So the grid is going to coincide alongside that with all the details, as you can see down here below. 9 weekly tournaments per split. So this will be going on for each split, winter and spring, with $10,000. So that's $90,000 that's also being thrown in. And these are where they're going to be used to help seed the regional events. because we need to have some sort of form of consistency to know who gets placed where in these really heavy events. So the grid is going to help out with that for the RLCS and their RLRS teams. At the end of those 9 weeks and the end of the split, the grid will keep the top 10 teams moving forward. There's a lot of things we don't know about the winter and spring split yet, but there's a couple things that we do know. The number one thing is they talked about how each split will have a unique challenge. What they mean by unique challenge is that it's just going to have a different format. So right now it seems like it's splits in a Swiss style. The next one is going to be maybe double elimination. The one after that will be a group stage round robin. Like, we don't know specifically, but what we do know is these challenges basically just mean that's a unique format for each individual split. So players are going to kind of have to adjust, and maybe they find out which split and what format best suits them. Same thing is apply with the 6 regional events, 3NA, 3U, still a major, 250K. All that stuff stays persistent. It's just the format that associates to it is a little bit different. And the amount of teams that are involved is a little bit different, with there only being 24 instead of 32. Part of the reason why is for a multitude of things. As you get closer and closer to the World Championship, you're trying to dwindle down the amount of teams that are involved. You want it to be focused on just the best of the best. So more points when they're awarded go to the best teams. The second thing with that is because the RLCS had to provide those auto bids from the teams coming from RLCS 9 and their performances, that is no longer an issue. We're now in the future. We're technically done with a split or a season. So that information is no longer relevant. They will reward that somehow in this one. No longer 16 teams RLCS, RLRS. It's just going to be the ones that come from fall. That's how they're going to determine some of this information. They then do that again for the spring split, which will be later on, probably starting early March or late February. And then dropping down teams a little bit more. Same situation. And after all of that is said and done, after we've gotten through 27 weeks of the grid, 18 regional tournaments, 3 international lands. Like, after all this is all said and done, we then have a world championship where the RLCS world champion comes to play, and we find out who is the new energy or who is the new vitality or whatever it is. And it makes this title mean so much more. It always felt like it degraded a little bit to be a world championship when the title is changed every 5 to 6 months. So world champions are a whole different ballgame now. And with that, they made some changes. It's $1 million, and $1 million going just to the world championship. In the past, $1 million for the prize pool meant that the players' weekly salaries, the regional championships, all the accolades that they got to dish, pull from that $1 million. And now $1 million period is going to the world championship, and assume that winners probably make like 350K. It's something ridiculous if you do the tournament splits the way I assume they will be. The other thing that they added is it is no longer 12 teams. It is now 14. And the way they're able to do that is that 2 more seats come from North America and 2 more seats come from Europe, rounding it out to the 16. So a lot of people question why not more from OCE? Why not more from SAM? And quite bluntly, it's because they haven't been winning. If you look at tournament record history, Chiefs were the only team to make top 4 for RLCS. And since Drippe left, that has not been the sense. The second seeds from OC and SAM have yet to win matches. So again, you can't reward other regions more spots when you're already second and first best aren't winning matches in the first place. And I swear to God, if I've got to watch another Renegades Veloce match, I don't know what I'm going to do. So again, until they prove that they are better than the RLCS teams from NA and EU, that will not happen. And I hope in the future, when they bring in additional regions, the Asian region, the Middle Eastern, whatever it is, those will go and get those spots instead. But until then, we don't know. Speaking of OCE and South America, we don't know the details of how they're going to fit into this, but Psyonix has stated in the post that their prize pools are going up and that they'll be helping them try to figure out a circuit style with tournament organizers so they can feed into the majors as well. So all that said and done, $4.5 million plus in the prize pool. There's a whole lot going on. And kind of my overall thoughts in comparison, I love this format. I think it's a fantastic step in the right direction. The biggest thing is it gives us a timeline. Rocket League Esports have always struggled with timing and planning and knowing when lands are going to be and when this stuff is going to happen. And even though we don't have exact dates on a lot of this stuff, at least we know tentatively there's going to be an international major that people can most likely attend. I don't know if it's going to be okay for October with COVID, but if it ends up clearing up, we know that there's going to be one sometime around October, November. There's going to be one sometime in between January and February. Another one between April and May, with a World Championship sometime in May, June. Like, we can actively plan for when these events are going to happen. And I know for the organizations, that's fantastic. They know when they need to make content. They know when they need to send teams. They know how to allocate budget. There are a ton of positives to this that I'm really happy about, but there's still some concerns and some frustrations, I think, from the organizations where this doesn't exactly tell them how they're going to make money back within the game itself. Right now with esports org items and stuff, there's still a slow turnaround time. There's a lot of different things like that. And if all these other teams are coming in, this can only make matters more difficult. So there is still concerns, I think, from the organizations, but it is a step in the right direction. And based upon whisperings I've heard, and this is the only thing you'll hear me say about it, is we are just getting started. There is more to come. Whether it'll be soon or not, that is not important. Just know that we are just getting started, and this is just the beginning for RLCS. There's some major things coming, and I would love to talk about the specifics, but quite honestly, I don't know them. I have only been told, like, we're just at the beginning of what is planned to come. So Psyonix, bravo. This is a huge investment and a huge addition. I don't know how much of Epic's involvement has had with this, but for the guys that are over there, round of applause and kudos for making this happen. There's still a lot of frustrations that I have with the way that things are handled, but for the esport and the thing that I'm invested in the most, I don't consider myself a casual of this game. I care primarily only about the esport. Hell, I haven't even played the game in 2 months because I'm usually just talking about it at this point. This is a fantastic step in the right direction. I am very happy about this format as it coincides with many other tier 1 esports like Dota and CSGO. So I'm excited to see where this goes, and I hope this continues, but you still got to take care of your teams. And hopefully this provides a level of professionalism. And that brings me to my last point. If pros thought that they were working hard previously, this format makes you grind. You have to show consistency week in and week out. I mean, you're talking regional events every single time that award points, and your results matter. There is no off time until after May and before August. You may get a couple months to relax, but it is go, go, go all the time. Everything is serious. Every tournament counts. There's no more taking a community tournament like Astro lightly. You have to give it your all. And you're going to see the players that have good work ethic and have good time management, that put in their effort and have good support structures. I'm thinking teams like with Chrome, Space Station Gaming comes to mind immediately. These teams are going to do very well in this format, and you are going to see the Sipicals and the Garretts and stuff increase their value as players so much, and they're going to be rewarded for it. And that's what I want. Some of these lazy kids, because I hate to say it, I went on a rant about it on my stream today. There's a lot of lazy players that take things for granted, and that is not going to fly anymore. These guys got to bust their asses to make this count. And if they thought their career was hard before, it is only going to get more difficult, but they're going to be rewarded for it. So please, I beg you, give it your all, try as much as you can, and just be smart about it, because this is a huge opportunity that a lot of people would love to have. Even more so because they're all going to be gunning for you in these open qualifiers. So may the best team win, may the hardest working team win, and I wish everybody the best of luck. I will do my best to cover as much of this information as I can. This is 22 events over the course of the next year, and I personally hope to be covering some of it. I don't think I'm going to be involved with the RLCS. I haven't heard squat. So please don't answer or ask any of those questions, because RLCS and I we're out. But maybe I can convince ESPN to start sending me to these events. I can meet you guys, and we can talk about these things with interviews. Like I said, a whole lot covered in this video. If you guys do have questions, comments, concerns, ideas, anything, drop those in the comments below, and I will do my best to get to them. I probably will have to do an update video on this or a follow-up video on this with Q&A, just because there's so much information being provided. You can also go look at the article posting on the Rocket League Esports website. I'll link that in the description. But it has the rules in detail about how many wins you need and all the point structure and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't want to bore you with the specifics. But all that stuff can be found in that article with all the details, and some of the format on Battlefly is also public, or Battlefy is also public. So go check those out. But again, if you guys enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you guys hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. And that's going to do it for me. I'm out of here. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.